Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be my angry, abusive, controlling, and unhappy girlfriend. So I got an email from a viewer who is, you can tell this guy is a little bit of a doormat. He's a little too nice, and he lets his girlfriend, who's pretty toxic, pretty abusive, just walk all over him. She berates him. She's constantly angry, upset all the time with him. She threatens him at the end of the relationship constantly, just very manipulative. And so he's recently entered therapy with a therapist to help him. And obviously the girlfriend is not very supportive of that. And so there's some other things going on here because apparently one of their neighbors is a police officer. And one night recently, she got very mad at him and threatened to basically cause a scene and open the door and start screaming things out to get the attention of their, neighbor police officer, to make it look like he's doing something he shouldn't be doing and refuses to leave the premises so she can get him in trouble. And so, this particular girl is pretty volatile. She's definitely a jack in the box. And there are women out there that are very toxic and will make your life a living hell and will use law enforcement to get revenge on you if they feel hurt, and they won't feel any remorse for it. They'll even make up things and lie. I had a guy I met years ago that had his life ruined because he had a really good relationship with his high school girlfriend when they were like 16, 17 years old. And of course she's sending him naughty pictures, and which he had, I think this was like he was 21, 22, something like that. And this was several years after a couple years after their relationship had ended. And so he's in a relationship with a girl that's just a jack-in-the-box lunatic nutcase. And of course she knew about the pictures on his phone, which were from high school. And they broke up, and she got mad at him, and to get revenge, she calls law enforcement and says, oh, he's got pictures on his phone of him and his girlfriend from high school. And of course, then after that, she, like the next day, she's like, oh, what did I do? Because she's a nut. And then she calls back and tries to undo it all. And they're like, well, you reported it, so we have to look into it. And so this guy, unbeknownst to him, the police show up and confiscate his phone. And they're like, oh, well, we got these things on here. And then so he comes across you got a prosecutor who is a bit of a sociopath, doesn't care about the circumstances, doesn't care about the crazy ex-girlfriend. All he's looking at is, hey, it meets the definition of something that is just not allowed according to the law. And is thinking, hey, I need more stats so I can continue to move up the ladder and become a regional prosecutor that I want to. And so it basically says, hey, we'll put you away for 10 or 15 years, or you can admit that you did something wrong and you'll have to register. I don't want to say the words because I don't want to get demonetized in this video, but made him register wherever he lives as a you-know-what. And so he's 21, 22. I think, both his parents had passed away, but he's got like nobody around. He doesn't have any money. And he's being backed into the corner by this corrupt prosecutor that it's wrong. The whole thing is wrong. Doesn't take anything into consideration of what happened there. And it's just wants to nail this dude's nuts to the wall so he can get some more numbers to pad on his sheet of prosecutions. And this happens all the time, and this is one of the reasons why why BLM took off and so many people in the black community are not happy, is that because things like this, something happens and they don't have the money to fight it, and then they end up in jail or they get excessively long sentences when people with money are able to just fight back, get off it, or whatever. And so this guy, it's like she literally ruined this dude's life just because she was trying to get revenge on him because he broke up with her because she was toxic and she was nuts. And so that's prevented him from getting jobs. It's just really, screwed him and his career and trying to advance and make money. I felt really bad for the guy, but it's like that kind of shit happens all the time. And so The reason I bring that up is that you really got to pay attention when you have women threatening to use the law to come after you and can use it in unjust ways. I mean, there was just last week I was reading an article about Yale. This happened at Yale. There's a guy from Afghanistan that fled the Taliban. He's very smart. I think he might have worked as an interpreter. I can't remember the exact circumstances, but he had nobody left in his family. His mother had passed away, and her dream was like he goes off to college in America and, you know, and makes it, if you will. And so he goes out on a date with this other, you know, student from Yale, and they end up hooking up. And then for whatever reason, he doesn't want to date her, or they don't date after that. And the next thing he knows, the police show up, and, you know, he's living on campus. He was there on a scholarship, and she basically said he slept with her without her consent, in essence. You know, she accused him of the R word. I can't say the R word on camera just because I don't want to get demonetized. You're not allowed to say those things. And accuses him of it. So it's like middle of the night, in the middle of winter, the campus police show up and they're like, you got 30 minutes to pack your shit and go and get off campus. So he gets booted off campus in the middle of the night. He's got like no money. There's nobody he can call, and he's in essence homeless. All because the schools like totally believe this totally made up charge. And so he gets prosecuted, and he's goes to one of a bridge that was near campus. I guess it's high enough where a lot of people have jumped off and committed suicide. And so he's thinking about doing himself in. And then he thinks about the memory of his mother, whose dream had always been him to come to America. And so he says, you know what? I'm not giving up. And so he fought it. The girl, I guess, admits that she made it all up. It wasn't true. So the case gets dismissed, and now he's suing Yale for like $110 million, I think it was. But it's like these things happen. There are women that are out there that will do this. There was a player that played for, I want to say the Atlantic Falcons, maybe this 8 or 10 years ago. Guy was in college, phenomenal draft prospect. Went out on a date with a girl, hooked up with her. She did the same thing to him. Totally made it up. He ends up getting prosecuted and spends like 8 or 10 years in jail. And then eventually she recants and says, oh, I made it all up. Oh, shucks. And, you know, of course, he gets let out of prison, but by then he's in his, I think, late 20s. And so everybody, you know, NFL talked about it, what had happened, and the dude got totally wronged by this girl in the justice system. So they gave him a chance. I think he was on the practice squad. He may have played for a few years. I don't know what it was, but just it wrecked this guy's life and the opportunity. And so these women are out there, and that's why I'm bringing these things up, because there's, you know, the thing about, we'll get to it in the email with the police officer that lives in their building, that she's threatening to involve the police officer to basically get this guy to comply with her wishes. That's how abusive she is and dangerous. So there's that. And so let's go through his email. He says, I'm at 10 reads, excluding the audiobook run-throughs, and let's see if there's a correlation to facepalms. I'm 35, living in London, and I have been with my partner for just over 5 years. She's always been a bit of a control-seeking type, as I have known her to be quite anxious, as well as having tantrums which at times have been off the charts. Things are getting worse now, though. She even went so far during an argument to open the front door and say, I will tell the neighbors I can't get you to leave. One of said neighbors is a police officer. That's not good. You know, because she's emotional and she's angry and she wants to hurt him, there's no logic or reason. It's just pure emotion. She seems to enjoy being in control of me financially, demanding full access to my bank accounts. Therefore, it is me who is out on his ass if anything were to happen. Dude, if you gave this girl full access to your bank accounts, you need to take your right hand and reach out and choke yourself. If I were you, I would immediately, the first thing I do today when the bank's open is to go and open a brand new bank account that does not have your girlfriend on it and close them and take all the money out of it and get new debit and credit cards for those. That is absolutely stupid to allow yourself to be intimidated by a woman to the point where you give her full access to your bank account so she can clean you out at any time. He says she hates it when I have money built up as I might use it to leave. I was like, dude, seriously. I'm a workaholic by nature and often work 80 hours a week. I never intend to stop as I refuse to let my career slip for anyone. I was broke when we met after a messy breakup, but now earn well, just took delivery of a 2023 Tesla, and I feel I have a lot of runway ahead of me at age 35. I give her money every week and pay for all activities, meals, decor, and furniture while she hoards her money. It's like, come on, man, dude, have some self-respect. Seriously. No one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. Giving this girl full access to your bank account so she can just screw you over and take your money? Come on, dude, what are you thinking? So like I said, that should be your first priority after you watch this video is go to the bank, take your money out, close those old bank accounts, and make sure it's only you on the new bank accounts so she can't do that to you. And next time she wants full access, say, no, I'm not giving you access to my money. I recently entered private therapy as I wanted to get to the bottom of some confidence issues that were surfacing at work, and have received nothing but flack from her about it. Yeah, anything that threatens her authority and manipulation over you, she's going to have a problem with. And what you got to understand about people like this is how they grew up. They grew up in a very abusive, toxic environment, and she learned this from her family. I assume her parents or whoever raised her, this is what she learned. And this is not your fault that she's this way. It's her family is the one that screwed her up. But you're basically giving her total control over your life and your finances, hoping that it's going to keep her from getting mad at you. And all it does is embolden a tyrant. And so his therapist used terms like coercive control and denial have come from the therapist, as well as me being a total pleaser with no concept of self-care. It's like, yeah, you got to stand up for yourself. But like I said, dude, get your bank accounts, get her off of your bank. You're going to probably have to close the bank accounts and open brand new ones in just your name. You might even have to take your money, get a cashier's check from that bank for all the money that's in that particular bank account, and then take it to a new bank and open it, or just leave what little money you need in there to cover any bills or checks you may have sent out that have yet to clear. You need to do that right away. He says, I came home from work on Friday to anger and atmosphere. I need you to fit the new radiators. You said it would be done by now. Can you empty the rest of the stuff from the other place tonight? I think you forget the things you say to me. I need to have no expectations of you. You're really distant since you started counseling. Why did you just leave me to hang out with the washing this morning? Are you going to set the TV up? I thought we normally go shopping on Friday. He says, I hadn't even sat down. She then proceeds to threaten me. I don't want to do the house thing with you anymore. He says, the bigger place we just bought. Well, it sounds like is she on the deed? Or did you just buy this? Because now if you got a piece of real estate with her, then you're going to have to deal with disposing of that. You also need to go talk to an attorney. I think this guy stays in the UK maybe. You need to talk to an attorney about how you can dispose of this piece of real estate that you just bought with her. Because that sounds like it's going to be messy. He says, after I asked her, do we really have to do this again tonight? She says, I want to break up. I've had enough of your shit. You'll never find anyone who is as good for you as me. I know what is best for you. Holy narcissistic abuse. Dude, come on, man. You need to talk to an attorney. First, you need to get your bank account in order, and then you need to talk to an attorney about this. Maybe somebody that understands the legal system, because if you go to leave her, she's going to go ballistic. She's going to try to take the money out of your bank accounts and find out that she's locked out of those and they're closed. So you have to think, it's like Sun Tzu said, like the art of war. Conceal your plans from your enemy, and then when you have all your ducks in a row, you strike like thunder. So that's basically what you need to do. Take control of your finances, get your money back under your control so she can't touch it. Talk to an attorney about what you need to do about disposing of the real estate, and somebody that can advise you, because she might go and cause a scene with the police officer. And unfortunately, the way the laws work is usually the guy is the one that goes to jail in the domestic issues. So, like I said, you definitely need to speak to some legal counsel about how you're going to pull the plug without putting yourself in a position to where she can use the law to abuse you. He says, I know some of this is outrageous, but I really am realizing that walking away once and for all is not easy. How do I know it is time to walk away? Or am I completely missing something within her that I could help with? Well, you could tell her, it's like, you need to be nice to me, number one. You need to treat me with respect and stop abusing me verbally and mentally. And if you can't do that, then I don't want to stay with you either. I don't really care. You're not a good girlfriend. Good women do not treat good men like this. It's like, you're not my mother. You're not my boss. I'm not interested in coming home at night and having you berating me because you're a miserable, unhappy woman. So you can be nice to me, or we can figure out how to go our separate ways. But before you have this conversation, again, get your bank accounts under your control and go talk to an attorney who can advise you legally what to do. Maybe you need to have somebody else there with you when all this goes down, just so you have an additional witness to protect yourself. But again, it's like, I wouldn't do anything until you seek legal counsel, dude, because you're in a precarious situation. It's like, look what happened to that guy I knew. I mean, back when they were in high school, what they did is totally okay. But because it meets the definition now that he's an adult, and you got a prosecutor that doesn't give a shit, just wants to check a box and pad his stats, he's like, they don't care. They don't care about ruining your life. They won't feel any remorse about it. They'll sleep like a baby. So you got to be smart about this, dude. That's what I would do if I were you. And keep seeing your therapist. And never, ever get involved with a woman who is abusive this way and threatens to use the law inappropriately to make you comply with their abuse. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.